I know if Alabama were to lose next week, I would agree with you that Alabama is better than Notre Dame. I would completely agree with you, but we can't reward recruiting classes. We have to, the games have to matter, which I see FCS playoffs. I love the FCS playoffs, but the issue with the FCS, and this is okay because those games aren't all on TV, they're all on ESPN Plus or local networks. Every game doesn't matter. And I went to an FCS school. Games didn't matter. Every game in college football, Division I, FBS, should matter. Believe me, I know, I was there. LaDamian Washington scored a touchdown. I was going nuts. Believe me. FCS. So, in the FBS, I want every game to matter. Because say we have this format, well, if we had a 2014 format or whatever, even like a 16-team format, this game next week now between Alabama and Georgia doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And today's game probably doesn't matter either. You can go, woo, we won, but you didn't ruin somebody's season, which is what Auburn was trying to do, and part of the fun of college football. Congrats, Purdue. Your win over Ohio State was a lot of fun. You didn't accomplish anything. Maybe, if he stays. Look at the Irish. They were. I mean, look at the total plays. And at the time, if I remember, total plays were like 88 to like 52 at that point. Like it was crazy. Crazy. Yeah, it's not a completely fair system, but every game should matter. That's why I also don't love automatic conference. If you win your conference, you're in, because then the non-con doesn't matter. So all these fun games, the Oregon-Ohio State game this year, if we did it that way, wouldn't matter. It'd just be a fun game. You can watch it, but it doesn't really matter who wins, who loses, because both those teams would still be in the playoffs. So I know that Discopic is a little controversial for some, but 8 teams, yeah, I would max go to 6 and have the top 2 have bye weeks, and then the 3 play 6 and the 4 plays 5 at the higher seed stadium. They get home games. But someone at Swampy commented, yeah, the NCAA is just for money. So it's going to happen. Believe me, I'll get over it. Everyone who doesn't want the playoff to expand will get over it. It'll be okay. It's just what I prefer. I'm not going to sleep at night going, oh, don't you expand my playoff. It's just something I just wish wouldn't happen. But we'll live. We'll all still really like the sport. But the one argument I do hate is, well, the NCAA tournament has 64 teams. College football and college basketball aren't remotely similar. Basketball is, it's not even close to similar. I mean, we kind of do. Today is kind of that, isn't it? And what's the scores of those games? I know Georgia just dominated Georgia Tech, which, yeah. Clemson's somehow scored 17 points. Kentucky's up on Louisville. Well, it looks like the SEC's dominating the ACC Challenge. Florida beat Florida State. Ole Miss beat Louisville earlier this year. Georgia beat Georgia Tech. Kentucky's beating Louisville. Clemson's beating South Carolina. So there kind of is an ACC SEC Challenge, and the SEC's dominating. Shocking. And maybe Wake Forest will play an SEC team in a bowl game, which you should all watch, because Wake Forest is fun. They have they lose Kenneth Walker, and somehow still are an elite team. Or not elite, pretty good. They're a pretty good team. Elite's the wrong word. But yeah, let's finish just wrapping up. We can talk. You guys give about 10 more minutes. Get all your comments, questions, anything you want in. This has been a lot of fun. and I'll get to everything I can, and we'll start wrapping things up before too long. But this has been a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. I agree, but we kind of do already. It's rivalry week, so now you want poor Georgia Tech to play Georgia every year, and then potentially also have to play Arkansas. Like, that's just not fair for them. That's just not fair. A good season for Arkansas. Yeah, they do. Good job. I'm just messing with you. Michigan, Georgia for defensive fun. No, because Michigan can't stop the run. Great. They're not great at stopping the run. Kenneth Walker lit them up. But they're really good against the pass. But Georgia wouldn't have to pass much. Isn't the Big Ten Championship always the night game? Because isn't it Pac-12 Friday, Big 12 Saturday morning, SEC Saturday afternoon, Big 10 on Fox at night, ACC on ESPN at night. Which I'm sure ESPN and Fox are delighted that it's not Michigan, Wisconsin, and that it's Wake Forest, Pitt. I'm sure they're over the moon about those matchups. Honestly, not shaping up to be a great ride. Unless Alabama makes it again. Utah, Oregon could be fun. But I'm in the night games don't look fun. The first three look cool. They're a fraudulent team. I've said that all year. They're a fraudulent team. And they're just not fun to watch. Now, credit to them for winning a lot of games. I mean, every year you look up and Iowa's the 19th ranked team in the country and they're 8-4. So congrats to them. But yeah, they're boring. But you'll take wins when you get them. So congrats to them. So yeah, your options next Saturday night are going to be probably, if it's the same schedule it is every year, Wake Forest, Pitt, which could be fun. That's going to be a lot of points because Kenny Pickett is a really good quarterback, and so is Sam Hartman. And yeah. Are we calling our shot? Where do they go? The ACC? They're not going to the SEC. Because at least Oklahoma and Texas have like basketball programs that are halfway decent. I mean, Oklahoma made the tournament, or I think both of them made the tournament last year. Did Texas make the tournament? But they did hire Chris Beard, and they have a heck of a team this year, it appears. So I don't know where Penn State's going. Doesn't Joel have the same take I do, which is I hate expansion? I don't really remember. Texans need to draft every position on the field possible, except running back. Don't take a running back. I mean, yeah, you could take Kenny Pickett. They still have Laramie Tunsil to play tackle to protect him. So, yeah, quarterback would be a fine pick. But I don't know. This is a weak quarterback class. This is a really, really, really weak. I don't know about Sam Hartman. We'll see. I like Sam Hartman, though. He's a lot of fun to watch. They were. That's true. I just don't know. The Big Ten is such a part of Penn State's identity now. I don't know. I mean, the ACC would probably be a good move for them as a program because they would be what? Maybe the second biggest brand? Are they bigger in Miami right now? I would argue they are. Are they bigger in Florida State? I would argue they are. So, man, yeah, that would be a good move for them because they would still be atrocious in basketball. But they would have a lot of success in football. Instead of playing Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State every year, you get to play they'll probably be in the Atlantic. Because if they're in the Coastal, they get to play North Carolina State, Pitt every year. They'd probably be in the Atlantic, but I don't know. Ann Arbor's been rocking since 9 a.m. this morning. Next Sunday. You'll now follow Brett McMurphy on Twitter. He gets all the insight for these. Some teams they'll announce, like East Carolina is going to the Armed Forces Bowl, I think it is. So some teams they'll be like, "Oh, we're going to this bowl game. We've agreed." But all the official announcements will be next Sunday. I can't imagine getting benched and then going to the draft. So where does Rattler transfer to? I don't have a good answer for you. Does Hendon Hooker leave Tennessee to go to the draft? What does Bo Nix do? Because those I said Auburn, Tennessee for previously. Does he go to Texas A&M? Or does Jimbo really trust Haynes King? Does he potentially go to a place like Wisconsin? Not really known for quarterbacks, but had a lot of success with Russell Wilson. I don't know. I don't know who Rattler goes to. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. Pitt will need a quarterback. I'm talking about Kenny Pickett. Florida won't need a quarterback. Florida State will need a quarterback because Jordan Travis stinks. So there's teams that need QBs. I couldn't tell you. Rattler to Ole Miss, I like that. I actually really like that a lot. If Kiffin doesn't leave, that's a great. Swamp and McGee's writing haikus in my chat. I know it's not a haiku. That's actually a great idea. Second round pick, man, I don't know. He got benched, and he played like crap. He was playing terribly. Did OU just kick a field goal? What are you doing? So I don't know. I don't think he gets picked. This is a terrible draft because we came in and it was like Rattler, Sam Howell, who's had a rough season. I did see Dylan Gabriel enter the portal. He'll be an interesting one. Matt Corral's played himself into the first round, yes. Now, has Matt Corral played himself in the first round because he's such a great future NFL QB, or is it because this class stinks? I couldn't tell you, but he's had an incredible season and really turned his career around after 2019 when who was their coach? Matt Luke was benching him for John Reese Plumlee. And yeah, it's just heck of a career to Matt Corral. Congrats to him. The Heisman Final Three will be announced next week. UT, Texas. I don't know. I said earlier, I don't think they'll take him back after he decommits, but maybe. I mean, they need a QB because Hudson Card and Casey Thompson, not the guys. Just not those guys. Okay. Leave your guys' opinion on the overtime rules. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Is there anybody here that likes the new overtime? Will Rogers? No. Will Rogers had a heck of a year, but he put up numbers with Mike Leach. Okay, cool. Will Rogers has a bright future at Mississippi State, but he needs to be more than what he's shown. Because right now he's just shown to be, and I can't even remember some of these Texas Tech quarterbacks from like Seth Dagey, that kind of guy. Okay, so we got one that likes the overtime rules. Why? It's not fun to watch. I think it's more suspenseful when you have a drive, not just trading 2-point plays. What I equate it to is like the shootout in the NHL. Because in hockey, I want a team to win based on their hockey skill, not a skills comp. And I think a 2-point conversion is just a skills comp between offensive coordinators. Like defense, they're abysmal to watch sometimes. Aiden Hutchinson for Heisman. He threw his name in the hat today. He was awesome. Jordan Davis is certainly there. Bryce Young's certainly there. Stroud put up with some numbers today. I don't know how the Heisman committee will take those numbers because he did put up almost 400 yards. To me, it seemed there were a lot of empty yards. There were a lot of empty yards, but I don't know. I don't think he'll be over. That we can all agree on. The NFL OT rule, it's so annoying. But a 2 loss team makes the playoffs this year. Yes. Yes. Because I'll tell you how. So let's say we go into next week with a top 4 of Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Cincinnati. Oklahoma State's at number 5. Notre Dame's at number 6. Oklahoma State wins tonight, loses to Baylor next week, which could happen. Baylor's a good team. So they have 2 losses. They're out because they won't have enough quality wins. And then let's say Michigan loses to Iowa, which could happen because that game's not going to be high scoring. And when games aren't high scoring, there's a lot of variance. And Alabama loses to UGA, I think you could see Alabama in there. Although I wouldn't put Alabama in there. What's their best win this year? Ole Miss? That was a really good win. What's their second best win? Mississippi State? Arkansas? Like, I don't know. Yeah, but that's what they're going to do. I'm agreeing with you. I'm the Alabama guy on the Voice of College Football. I agree with you. Alabama played really badly tonight. And they played bad against LSU. Offense looked pretty good against Arkansas. I don't know. It's hard to judge. I would say no, but that seems really unfair to Oklahoma State. If they beat top 10 Oklahoma, a top 10 Baylor team next week, I think they would get in over Notre Dame. But I think they're going to need some help. So, again, let's go through the scenarios. So you got Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Cincy. If Alabama loses and knocks them out, then yeah, I mean, maybe it's going to be a debate. So I would say no, because it's not one of those things where if Oklahoma State wins out, they're in. Yes, Aiden Hutchinson had an incredible season. I just don't know if they'll give it to a high defensive player. And if they were to give it to a defensive player, Jordan Davis and Will Anderson would really be high on that list as well. Would Okie State be a 7-point? I don't know. I don't play that. I don't think like that. I don't think so, because I think who's better, Oklahoma State or Notre Dame? And you can say Oklahoma State, and I would agree with you, but how much better is Oklahoma State than Notre Dame? I wouldn't say by a lot. And Cincinnati beat Notre Dame. I know the final score was 24-13. That game wasn't. That game was a comfortable game for Cincinnati. If Auburn had a healthy QB, they might win today. Yeah, but how many times is it going to get to 9 overtimes? We've literally had one fun overtime game at the Power 5 level in the last, decade? And because everyone had so much fun watching that LSU game, Georgia would kill Cincy. But I think we're going to get Cincy, Michigan, which is fun because if for all the SEC people in here, Luke Fickell hates Michigan because he's an Ohio State guy. No, this is a goofy year. This is one of those goofy years. Everyone's comparing this year to 2007. You know, the year Boston College was number 2. South Florida was number 2. Missouri got to number 1. Kansas got to number 2. But what everyone kind of forgets about that year is it ended with LSU, Ohio State. Yeah, he's been all. I talked about that a lot last week. He's just he's incredible. And I see people complaining about TV ratings. Why do you care? Because are we going to pretend that any group of teams in there isn't going to lose or going to be Georgia? Plus, how many great semifinal games have we had? Let's go through them. First year, you had Alabama, Ohio State. That was a great game. 2015, you had 2 crummy games. 2016, you had 2 crummy games. 2017, you had Oklahoma, Georgia. That was a great game. The playoff just is most of the time. The playoff semis are kind of terrible. You had Clemson, Ohio State. That was a fun one. The semifinals for the playoff, They aren't usually great. I don't know because, and I've been trying to defend Cincy here, but because of the teams they play, I don't know. Now we'll see against Houston because Houston's pretty good. No, they'll get killed because they'll be the 4 seed and they'll get killed. And the 4 seed's gonna get killed no matter what. It's kind of like 2019 when we had LSU, we had Ohio State, and we had Clemson. Those were by far the 3 best teams. And then OU got the 4 seed. Utah almost got the 4 seed if they would have beaten Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. Anybody that got that 4 seed was going to get murdered by LSU, Clemson, or Ohio State. This year, whoever gets that 4 seed is going to get killed by Georgia. They just are. Like, Michigan, that scares me is UGA. Yeah, I think your defense could do a good job against UGA. The issue is you ran the ball really well against Ohio State. Your quarterback's still incredibly limited. And I like Cade. I think Cade's had some really good games this year. You're not running the ball on Georgia. So Cade's going to have to make some plays, and he can't make those plays. So, I mean, some years, who was it? Alabama was a 4 seed, and they played Clemson 20, it had to have been 2017. And they won, but most of the time, yeah, the 4 seed just does get killed. So I know, incredible analysis by me, but the 4 seed, whoever it is they're just going to get shoved into the ground. I mean, and it could be whoever. I don't think it'll be Cincy though. I think Cincy's going to get a top 3. Man, if you remember that game, that wasn't on Baker. That game was on Lincoln. Lincoln made a lot of. That was a crappy game by Lincoln in the 4th quarter. Fair. If Alabama beats Georgia, no, then Michigan's the 1. Maybe. Actually, no, I don't know. I think Georgia is pretty much the guaranteed 1 seed. Unless Alabama kills them. And it's like a 31-13 or like a 28-13, 24-13. Like, unless Alabama wins by double digits and it doesn't feel that close, I think Georgia's your 1 seed. They're going to get top 3. They'll get top 3. I mean, who else is for the number 4? Notre Dame? Well, they already beat Notre Dame. Oklahoma State? They're better than Oklahoma State. Yeah, I'm completely serious. Who else who's gonna jump them? If Alabama were to lose. This is again a hypothesis on Alabama losing next week. If they're going to lose, who jumps them? Okay, you're going on the if Georgia loses next week. I know. I think they're the 1 because the committee's going to go. Georgia lost to Alabama in a title game. Michigan lost to Michigan State, who's not a good team. Or not a great team. They're a good team. Michigan's easily number 2 after today. Tough to argue with that. They certainly are number 2. I really wanted Wisconsin to win. I thought that rematch would be fun. Over Cincy, the team Cincinnati beat in Notre Dame. Notre Dame has nothing on Cincy. Well, it does, unfortunately. I'm getting a little snarky. That's not nice. Yeah, unfortunately, it does. And it should matter. I mean, no. All playoff semifinal games suck. Like, for the most part. I mean, you've had a couple good ones. For the most part, they stink. I don't know why the Big Ten would care. I mean, the Wisconsin defense is better statistically. If And they don't. Wisconsin defense can get stops without relying on turnovers. They didn't give up 400 yards to Purdue. So hang on, let me get this straight. And I'm getting snippy here, but Notre Dame has a lot on Cincinnati. If only we had a way to decide who was better, Notre Dame or Cincinnati. Like if they could play a football game, I don't know, maybe at Notre Dame even. Play them at Notre Dame. Notre Dame and Cincy at Notre Dame. And we could see who wins, and then we'll know who's better. If only we could do that. Oh, wait, we did. And I'm defending Cincy a lot here, but they're better than Notre Dame. We know this. They played. And sometimes head-to-head shouldn't matter. Michigan is a better team than Michigan State. We can all agree Michigan State won that day. But when we're trying to compare resumes, the head-to-head should matter. 12? That sounds about right. Maybe a little lower, maybe like 9.5, 10.5. But yeah, that sounds about